A warm welcome to Helen Goddard. Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to talk to you about
Nice to see
a
you.
circle immersive that happened last year. But I want to know, first of all, what are all the things, the amazing things that you do, Helen?
So at the moment, I'm working as a Reiki practitioner. Um, I'm a Reiki master and I teach level 1 Reiki as well. And I also work with all ages on a movement therapy, which is called rhythmic movement training, and it integrates reflexes. So I work with a lot of neurodiverse children, and I work with children as well with Reiki. So I've got my clinic here in Reading, and then I also work in Newbury as well, one afternoon a week. And yeah, I adore it. Absolutely adore it.
Came to the circle immersive a weekend in London last year. And when you think back to before you came to it, what drew you to it? What skills were you thinking of adding and how it would fit with the other things that you do?
Yeah, I had a real desire at the time to explore how I could create and understand how boundaries work within holding circle and holding space. And I think I was cautious at the time that I didn't quite have enough skills in understanding what might happen if things go wrong while you're holding space for people. There was a nervousness inside me, and I needed a safe space also to understand from yourself and Julia the kinds of techniques, the kinds of compassionate, deep listening, and how that works when a lot of people are being vulnerable and sharing perhaps tricky topics and tricky subjects, bringing myself more confidence to hold space for people speaking their truth, and how I might navigate that. And of course, I was overlaying some of my own fears that I might not be able to hold that space. But that weekend was me finding something that could grow my confidence. Yeah.
Mm. So was your hope that afterwards you were going to run a circle in person or online?
Yeah, and I did both actually. By the end, I mean, I walked through the door um to the session, and I kind of knew that I would be diving in at the end. So I was kind of taking that leap as I booked. But yeah, I did end up it was about 5 weeks later, I think I had my first in-person circle at home. And then about 3 weeks after that, I opened up an online circle as well. So it worked. It gave me what I needed to begin.
And is there a highlight from one of the circles that you can share, or how did it feel as your confidence grew as you actually
Mm.
did the first ones, moved on to the second and third ones?
I I thought, I guess, going into it, that it was something that was going to bring people together, and it did. But I didn't have any experience of the magic that would come through when you create a situation where you've got healthy boundaries. So setting those guidelines at the beginning. And some women, I think, in the group felt a little skeptical about the boundaries. It was almost like there was an admin moment that felt a bit, oh, she's kind of creating rules around something that should be about freedom and everything. Um, and and actually, I felt all along during the training as well that the guidelines and the safety aspect, the parameters that you set for the circle, whatever they might be, um, compassionate listening, democratic speech, not jumping in, jumping over people, or also not leaping in to help somebody or control the situation. These were all things that I mentioned in the guidelines at the beginning. And actually, it made the whole thing feel like everybody just went, oh, okay, we all know that we're contained, we're held. And it was the revelation of creating those boundaries almost, and feeling the aliveness of some of those charged conversations, some of those emotional conversations that just lit me up. And that happened every time, because it's been new to me to set boundaries. Most of my life I've not had those healthy boundaries, and so learning through the circle holding has helped me to realize the power of boundaries and how that can then just light people up and be so supportive. So that happened each time we met. And just hearing people speaking things that they've never talked about before and having that honoured each time was just, when I closed the door, you know, when everyone had left, I just thought, what a privilege, what an absolute privilege, yeah, to spend that time. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking back to the weekend training itself, that again there also it's about very much setting a container, and just such a wonderful group of people came together. It was fantastic. I don't know if is there a standout moment to you during that weekend?
I really was really nervous of hearing the other person's story and having to relay the story from their truth. It was a part of the session where we needed to share a story. I think it was for 5 minutes with a partner. And then we needed to relay that story back to the group as if we were speaking on their behalf. And inside, I felt anxiety about that. I felt that it was, not only did I have to remember all the information, I was going to try to not get overwhelmed with the emotion as well that was in the story. And just speaking in front of a group as well, somebody else's part of their life that was a really big expression, moment of their life that was very powerful. And so that particular exercise, and then my partner doing that for my life event as well, that I think was the most powerful part of the weekend. Hearing my story shared through someone else's voice, hearing it with that lens of someone else's voice, experiencing my reality. It was uplifting, but really deeply healing. Something I've not experienced before.
Yeah, I remember your story so well.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of the weekend, is that there's time to go deeper. That, you know, that's a more advanced technique that we can share about story exchange. But there's something about coming together and eating together at lunch times and having that extended time to build up the relationships. And as that trust builds, you do feel more comfortable to share stories, maybe stories that haven't been shared before or that make you feel vulnerable. And I think one of the things I really enjoyed about the training was that because it was in person, we were able to do things like have a fire ceremony and use a red thread ceremony. And so for those people that like to have those elements, we're able to show different examples of what can be done. Because I love all of that stuff. I love all the crafting and getting people busy with their hands, and yeah.
It was really special, remembering some of those things you were just mentioning. It was really special to take time out of busy life and all the functionality and get back to creative tasks together with other women. And I know there's all different types of circles and the training is for everybody. But for me, being with a group of women, eating together, making things around the fire, it was exactly what I was looking for. And it's something that I've gone on to really embody more, is that feminine energy and understanding that vulnerability and being surrounded by that flowing feminine energy is something that I have really missed in the past, and something that I have gone on with much more confidence to enjoy that with the elements, the earth, air, water, fire, all the things that we talked about, you know, different ways of coming together, wrapping our wrists with the thread, placing intention, creating ritual around your life, that's come with me personally, not just within the context of my work, but starting the day, ending the day with ritual. And that feeds into all my Reiki training as well. But the circle holding training really was active, you know, it was active learning, you know, immersive, as you say, actually experiencing it with another group of people, feeling their reactions and feeding your soul through being with other people who are like-minded. It was, yeah, really good.
Yeah, because it's one of those things that it gets easier through doing. So on the Sunday, everybody had a chance to deliver a bit of a circle. And that was really wonderful to be part of as well, because everybody brings their rich background, all the skills that they have. So I always learn things too, which is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I loved hearing everyone's story. I loved hearing where everyone had come from, what they'd experienced. I walked away feeling so confident in my womanly wisdom. I just really felt very empowered, very enabled. I just grew. I expanded. It was a transformation process, you know, continuing, and it's ongoing. But that weekend, honestly, it was really special.
I can't wait for the next one now. I'm really excited.
You're doing, just you and Julia is such a wonderful collaboration. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Helen, for sharing your experience. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.